Assignment 2 of Understanding Discipline in the Uniformed Public Services. Now, you know already from what I've told you that this assignment involves a debate and a report, as you can see here. And you will have already, by the time I give you this assignment, taken part in the debate. So it's important to understand the scenario here, in that you're a member of a government team, and that team is looking at discipline in the UPS. And you, at the conclusion of the debate, you're required to produce a report, and that's the focus of this briefing. And you can see here that the learning outcomes are understanding the need for discipline in the uniformed public services. So straight on then with P1, and you can see here we're talking about an explanation. You have to explain the need for and the role of discipline in the uniformed public services. So at the after the debate, you are required to produce a report. Now you can see here that I've included everything that you need in order to complete your report. And a lot of the things here you might have mentioned within the debate, and therefore that will be easy enough to write about. But those things that don't get mentioned in the debate are those things that you need to make sure that you include. Now, when you're writing your report, make sure you make thorough reference to what was discussed in the debate. A lot of people make the mistake of either making only a very brief reference to it, or indeed not mentioning it at all. So it's important that you talk about what was discussed during the debate, and if those points that you can see highlighted here are mentioned within the debate, then great. You can talk about that in your assignment. But if they're not, you must include them. I very much doubt, for instance, that the definitions of discipline will be included within the debate. So you need to include some definitions and explain what those definitions mean, because, as I said right at the beginning, this is an explanation. Probably the debate will have included the necessity for rules and regulations and why they're needed. But again, if it doesn't, then you've got to include those. So this bit here is important. Likewise, there may have been reference to why orders need to be followed. But if they're not, then again you need to explain that, and so on. We've done plenty of discussion about consequences of a lack of discipline and what those could lead to. We've looked at case studies as far as that is concerned, so that's easy enough to include there. Something that we've not spoken too much about are these two, which is the effect on social order and anarchy. And really this is about how society would be affected as far as discipline or a lack of discipline in the uniformed public services is concerned. So for this part, you need to be talking about why it's so important that the standards of discipline are maintained in the uniformed public services, because if they're not, then there's going to be an effect on the public in general. Anarchy, as you may recall that I mentioned, is a complete lack of government or order. In fact, it's a system of no government at all. And of course, we can all imagine what sort of society we would be living in if that was the case. And again, if discipline in the uniformed public services breaks down, then there's every chance that anarchy could prevail. Don't forget this part here, which again a lot of people in the past have failed to mention. This is all about the role of discipline, what discipline does. And again, we've spent plenty of time talking about this in class. Team spirit, that esprit de corps, the sense of duty and honour, and what that involves to both the services that people are working in, to the people that those employed in the uniformed public services are working with, and of course to the public who expect the UPS to do their job to the required standard. Why it's important for the UPS to recognise that they are serving the public, and of course the role of rules, policies, regulations, etc. That are included as part of the discipline, the role of discipline, what those actually do. So pretty simple really, pretty straightforward. Hopefully a lot of those points will have been raised in the debate, but if they're not, it's not a big deal because you've got plenty to refer to. As usual, everything that I've discussed in class will also be included on Moodle, on my presentations, and any other case studies or handouts. They're all on there already. The written piece is to be sent in on Turnitin as usual. So moving on then, for those who are attempting or going to attempt the merit, this is the justification part, as we can see here. So it's all about saying, okay, well, these are the roles of discipline. This is what discipline's all about. Why is it needed? Can we say that there are cases where there's been a lack of discipline, and therefore that will actually justify why discipline is needed? And in here I've included the case studies that we've mentioned in class: Barhamusa, Ian Tomlinson, Marine, all these that you might be able to use to justify the need for and the role of discipline. So you're building very much upon the facts that were brought out in the past criteria and using those facts as a justification. Again, not very difficult to do really, because we all know how much discipline plays a part in the uniformed public services. We've already looked at discipline within our group, for instance, and how that's achieved, how it's achieved on the course. So all really you have to do is to put that into a uniformed public services situation, and really justifications pretty much speak for themselves. If there was no need for discipline, then we wouldn't have it in the uniformed public services, so there's a justification in itself. Use those case studies, that's what they're there for. And finally, the distinction part. Evaluation of the impact is what we're looking at here, as you can see there at the top. And this is all about the impact that discipline has. So again, it's a useful thing to be able to bring in case studies. In fact, you must do, because otherwise you won't be able to get the evaluation through correctly. We're here looking at whether those impacts are positive. Do they do what they are supposed to do? Do they have a good impact? In other words, are the public services still able to get on with their jobs despite the fact that they are under a certain amount of discipline? It could be something along the lines of whether the discipline is self-discipline, or whether it's the rules, regulations, legislation that we've spoken about before that are required to enforce it. A whole lot of things that you can include here. But as long as you're talking about the impact, then you won't go far wrong. You will be looking at whether the discipline that is in place is enough. And if it's not, well, then perhaps those impacts are, or rather that discipline is not having as much of an impact as it should. So all those criteria really are pretty straightforward. You will get a lot to work with from the debate, hopefully, to help you with, well, all three criteria. Either way, I can't see anybody having any big problems with this assignment, but as always, if you do, please feel free to get in touch with me, and I will help you in any way that I can. It's a 2-week submission, as the assignments already are, or always are, should I say. So all I can say is good luck, and I will look forward to receiving your submissions.